In ancient Greece, idiot wasn't an insult. It just meant someone not in government. But over time, its meaning changed, and it came to describe someone who wasn't an expert, then eventually someone who was seen as stupid or mentally slow. Fungi are not plants. Mushrooms, molds, and other fungi may resemble plants, but modern evidence reveals they're closer to animals. Hold on, hippos don't sweat blood. Those aren't magical powers, but a clever trick to stay cool. The red stuff on their skin is actually hippostoric acid, a special pink sunscreen. This keeps them protected from the sun. As for their milk, it's just like most mammals, white or beige, not pink. Wolves don't howl at the moon based on its phase. They howl for various reasons, like gathering the pack or sending long-distance messages. Wolves are more active at night, so their howls might be more noticeable under a full moon, but the moon itself isn't the cause. Not so fast with the femme fatale label. While it's true that praying mantis females sometimes eat their mates, it's not a guaranteed ending to their love life. Studies show this behavior, called sexual cannibalism, only happens in about half of matings, and it's more likely in certain species like the Chinese mantis. Earwigs aren't particularly fond of crawling into human ears. Those scary stories you might have heard are likely just that, stories. The name earwig probably comes from their folded wings that look a bit like ears, but that's where the resemblance ends. Earwigs have no interest in hitching a ride in your ear canal. Hold on, Columbus wasn't the first. Leif Erikson and other Vikings likely explored parts of North America, like Vinland, before Columbus. Plus, Columbus himself never set foot on mainland North America. He reached parts of the Caribbean and South America on his voyages. Chameleons aren't just fashion chameleons. They can change color, but it's not just about blending in. These cool lizards have special cells in their skin that allow them to shift colors. The main reasons? To communicate with other chameleons and regulate their body temperature. Camouflage can be a perk, but it's not the whole story. Bats see. Blind as a bat? Nope. Most bats have eyes, and some, like fruit bats, have great night vision. Echolocation, like sonar, helps them navigate at night, but they can see too. You might think snakes unhinge their jaws to swallow large prey, but that's not quite true. Snakes don't unhinge their jaws. They can swallow surprisingly large prey thanks to a special trick. Each half of their lower jaw has a flexible joint, allowing them to stretch sideways and engulf their dinner whole. It's all about bone structure and impressive flexibility. Don't worry, you won't steal a baby bird's mom. Unlike some animals, most birds are very dedicated parents. Finding a baby bird on the ground or accidentally touching a nest usually won't cause them to abandon their young. Houseflies typically have an average lifespan of 20 to 30 days, not just 24 hours as commonly believed. This misconception might stem from confusion with mayflies, where certain species have incredibly short adult lifespans, sometimes lasting only a few hours. Sleep tight, don't let the spiders bite. Your misconceptions. The idea that spiders love to crawl into sleeping people's mouths is just a myth. Luckily, spiders are more scared of you than you are of them. So rest easy, spider snacking is not a thing. Jumping into freezing water can be much more dangerous than just getting a chill. The cold shock can cause your heart rate and blood pressure to spike suddenly, potentially leading to heart attacks, especially for those at risk. But that's not all. Cold shock can also make it difficult to control your breathing, increasing the risk of drowning, even for strong swimmers. Many believe you shouldn't eat for an hour before swimming to avoid cramps or drowning. But the truth is, there's no scientific evidence linking pre-swimming meals to these issues. So ditch the myth and, if needed, fuel your swim with a light, healthy snack beforehand for extra energy. Contrary to popular belief, piranhas aren't bloodthirsty monsters. These fish are actually omnivores, meaning they eat both plants and meat. They form schools for defense, not coordinated attacks. While their bites can be nasty, piranha attacks on humans are rare and usually occur during feeding frenzies, often targeting scraps or wounded fish, not specifically people. It's a common belief that dogs age 7 times faster than humans, but this is simply not true. The truth is, Dog aging is much more complex. Different breeds age at vastly different rates. It's a common myth that duck quacks don't echo. However, the echo might be harder to hear for us sometimes. This is because high-frequency sounds like quacks dissipate faster in the air compared to lower-pitched sounds. Great white sharks may be curious, not murderous. Unlike their explosive attacks on seals, interactions with humans are usually slower and less aggressive. White sharks have excellent eyesight and might use investigative bites to identify unfamiliar objects, not necessarily as prey. While visual cues can sometimes be misleading, these encounters rarely escalate into intentional attacks. Santa Claus in a red suit appeared in American magazines and ads way before Coca-Cola started using him in the 1930s. The jolly old Santa we know today wasn't their invention. Baby shoes never worn. Ernest Hemingway did not write the flash fiction story for sale, Baby Shoes Never Worn. It circulated well before his time and the true author remains unknown. Carnivorous plants might seem like bloodthirsty hunters, but they don't rely solely on insects for survival. They can actually live on their own, but catching prey gives them a bonus. The nutrients they get from insects help them grow bigger and stronger. Head exposed? Heat loss all around. Your head doesn't lose way more heat than the rest. Exposed skin is the key. Covering your head is no more effective than covering your arms or legs to stay warm. Did Polish cavalry charge German tanks with sabers in World War II? This dramatic image is a myth. While Polish cavalry did exist, they weren't suicidal. They fought strategically and adapted tactics against the new threat of tanks. The myth likely arose from wartime propaganda. Rabbit's preference for carrots. Turns out, Bugs Bunny was a liar. While those cartoon chompers might have us thinking carrots are a rabbit's dream food, in reality, they prefer a salad of dark leafy greens. Too many carrots can even be unhealthy for rabbits because of the sugar. The Middle Ages weren't just a dark time. People were creative and curious, and the church wasn't all-powerful. Historians even avoid the term Dark Ages now. Honeybees are vital pollinators for many plants. While their decline is a concern, scary claims about mass starvation without them aren't quite accurate. Many staple crops, like corn and wheat, don't rely on bees or other insects for pollination. Coffee won't dehydrate you, usually. In fact, the water in coffee itself contributes to hydration. Regular coffee drinkers are fine, but for some people new to caffeine, it might cause a little extra pee trip. It's alive. But Frankenstein isn't the monster's name. Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein is named after the scientist Victor Frankenstein, not the creature he creates. The creature is never named in the novel and is referred to as Frankenstein's monster. However, due to later adaptations, the term Frankenstein has become synonymous with the creature itself, leading some to accept this usage. The salute depicted in famous paintings like the Oath of the Horatii wasn't a real Roman gesture. It was a much later invention, mistakenly linked to the Roman era and subsequently associated with other salutes like the Nazi salute. Those festive poinsettias might cause some rumors, but they aren't poisonous to pets or people. While a curious nibble might cause a little tummy ache or irritation, serious problems are very rare. Microwaves don't cause cancer. They use non-ionizing radiation, unlike X-rays, which is a safe form of energy for heating food. Many scientific studies back this up. The sportswear brand Adidas isn't an acronym for phrases like all day, I dream about sports, or all day I dream about soccer. It was named after its founder, Adolf Adi Dassler, in 1949. The backronyms suggesting otherwise were published as jokes in 1978 and 1981. Ever heard that ostriches bury their heads in the sand when scared? It's a common myth, but not true. Ostriches might put their heads and necks down to graze or search for food in low-lying bushes, which might have looked like hiding from afar. This misconception might even date back to ancient writings. Do mice love cheese? Not quite. While they might nibble on it, mice actually prefer sweet foods like fruits and grains. This myth likely arose because cheese used to be stored outside before refrigeration, making it an easy target for hungry mice. The idea that a red cape infuriates a bull in a fight? That's a myth. Bulls are mostly red-green colorblind, so the cape's color doesn't matter much. What truly triggers their charge is the perceived threat from the matador's movements, especially the way they wave the cape. These movements mimic the actions of a predator, causing the bull to react defensively. Ever heard the story of Isaac Newton and the apple falling on his head? While it's a catchy tale, it's probably not quite true. Newton himself said the apple was more like a thought experiment, helping him explore the concept of gravity. Those fancy-sounding vomitoriums in Roman arenas might make you think of messy crowds. But surprise! They weren't actually puke rooms. Instead, they were wide passageways for spectators to leave the arena quickly after the events.